Welcome to Strictly Business. On the show today, we get into the poultry industry. The poultry industry has received a boost. Now, Zambia is in talks with Saudi Arabia to make sure that those poultry products, those poultry services are actually exported. So if you're in the poultry industry, there's going to be a boost in the poultry industry all the way to Saudi Arabia. Your market just grew bigger. We also take you to issues still in agriculture, but this time crop agriculture. The president was on the Copper Belt talking about fertilizers as well as making sure that crop products from the agriculture sector also receive value addition attention. We will also be talking about digital transformation on the show today. This is Strictly Business.
The demand for Zambian chickens in Saudi Arabia has stirred interest among players in the poultry industry. With a record of being the second largest exporter of chickens in the region, Zambia stands ready to meet the demands of the Saudi Arabian market. The Poultry Association of Zambia says the country has capacity to meet the chicken demand of Saudi Arabia.
We have moved from the time when we would be an import-dependent country to an export-dependent country. And second, in the southern part of Africa to South Africa in terms of export. So we have more than capacity. If you look at the installed capacity of what we're able to produce as a country, as at now we are producing roughly about almost to the maximum of about almost 2.3 million day-old chicks on a weekly basis.
The association says Zambia has already been meeting the chicken demand of neighboring countries.
I think East Africa is getting much of their parent stocks from here. We have Zimbabwe that is picking up huge quantities from here, and also the other countries like Namibia are also picking up. And beyond the southern and Comesa regions, we are also exporting into ECOWAS.
Meanwhile, Small and Medium Enterprise Minister Elias Mubanga says a team from Saudi Arabia will soon be in the country to seal the deal.
The companies that intend to be receiving our chickens from here, the process of coming to Zambia so that we can, table it down, discuss, logistical issues and see how we can do it. I think this is on a higher level as well.
And Zambian poultry farmers are already positioning themselves for this big deal.
Looking at the opportunity that has been given to us, we are ready as Ubuntu to actually begin keeping chickens. For instance, just in August, we'll be keeping 210,000 birds for our local processors. So if this, with this opportunity of exporting chickens to Saudi Arabia, we are very much ready to begin keeping 500,000 birds.
For trade expert Gilbert Nkamba says the chicken deal should not fail like the goat deal.
Let's produce chickens and saturate the Saudi Arabia market. Let's bring that forex into the economy so that we push the kwacha, we push the exchange rate further down. The kwacha needs to be strong. These are the opportunities as a country we have to take advantage.
Katwishi Walia, ZMBC News in Lusaka.
Thank you so much, Katwishi. Interesting things going on in the agriculture sector. We are coming from poultry. I take you to crop agriculture, where the president recently was on the Copper Belt talking to farmers, issues of fertilizer and value addition.
Our government will support, will direct more investments in agriculture, more investments in agriculture. The investments, let's broadly call it capital, would include land tenure, access to land, access to water. Very important. We do not want an able farmer not producing something because they have no access to land, they have no access to water.
President Hichilema also called for fair prices for agricultural products.
So I want to address the fertilizer supplies. What we inherited in this country was a section of the farming community making 50 times more money than everybody else by overpricing. Of course, in collusion with the government of the day. And who suffered is a farmer. It's a small-scale farm. We are willing to give you business in the FISIP arrangement, this narrow FISIP. Come to the table with your clean hands. Provide a fair price. fair price, which will allow a farmer to also make a fair return on their production, which will allow the meal consumer to also buy meal at a fair price. The whole chain. Don't work on margins only. The culture in the last 10 but 7 years was working on margins only. Make money and too much money at the expense of other people in the chain.
Now, saying that, you know, this whole week, or is it lately, our country has had this very intense talk about value addition to the raw materials that we are producing as a country. We thought we bring in, you know, the manufacturing industry and see where they're at right now in regards to value addition to raw materials, what role they are playing, not only making sure that there's this value addition, but also that there's proper packaging going on with the value that has been added to that final product or final service that's coming through to you. And of course, Zambia has also been talking a lot about the public-private partnerships. There's a dialogue that was, you know, launched recently. And of course, we want to see how these synergies are being built. So this time from the private sector, I'm glad that Ezekiel Sekele is going to be joining us via Zoom, and he's going to be talking to us as in the private sector, how they're doing, what they're doing when it comes to issues of manufacturing. Mr. Ezekiel Sekele, how are you?
I'm very fine, thank you. Judy, thank you for hosting me. And how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I appreciate you being here. So of late, we've had this very, you know, intense talk when it comes to value addition. It's not something new per se, but it has got this very different feel to it. The stakeholder collaboration is on another level. Talk to us about that and where, you know, manufacturing, especially the private sector, is in this whole equation.
No, thanks so very much, Judy, for that question. First and foremost, where are we sitting as the manufacturing sector? I think what is key is to look at the data. Numbers don't lie. In terms of GDP contribution at the moment, we're just under 10% contribution. And then if you look at our target, that is the Vision 2030 for Zambia, which is our long-term plan for the country, our target sits at over 30%. So you can see that there's a lot that needs to be done for us to move the manufacturing sector from where we are sitting now to where we want to be. The second point that you've touched on is value addition. Already there in the question lies in the answer. You are saying value addition. Value is something that has inherent potential, which has been, you know, materialized, and it can be sold at a higher amount. So value addition itself sees to it that more money is gained at each stage of the value chain. So therein we begin to add value so that people, be it in the communities, in the rural areas, in the peri-urban areas, in the urban areas, in the country as a whole, value is built at each stage so that people don't lose out, so that we can create more jobs. And that's the simple way of looking at value addition. Value addition is just a simple way of not losing money, ensuring that money is not wasted at each stage.
Do we have the infrastructure? Do we have the factories that are able to support this plan to play out, to see these products, the value being added to these raw materials so that they become a reality? Or it sounds very nice when you have these talks and indabas to make sure that, you know, you're talking about. And for manufacturing, it's really across the board, because recently there was the issue of Zambia and Congo with the batteries. There was now the mining in Dawa, adding to the nickels, the manganese, the coppers that we produce, as not only as Zambia, but as Africa as well. And just this week, we saw agriculture produce. Our president was in on the Copper Belt talking about agriculture crop value addition. And again, another deal that is going through is the issue of chickens getting to Saudi Arabia and making sure that they're packaged in another way. But does Zambia have that infrastructure and the manufacturing factories to do this?
I think that infrastructure development is a long-term process. Obviously, in some areas we do have infrastructure, but again, we need to do more as a country in terms of, constructing, building more infrastructure so that we can service our economy, so that we can serve our people.
Which innovations are we supposed to take advantage of in the space that we are at right now? And also commenting on how we can maximize on the upcoming EU-Zambia summit, the collaboration of, looking at Zambia and the European Union.
Good, a great question again, Judy. I think that for me, really, value addition has to run through the entire value chain, okay? When we start with agriculture, not just producing agriculture produce and sell the so-called tomatoes or onion, wherever we've been talking about exporting them, beginning to add value. Henceforth, agriculture should be moved into agro-processing. Whenever we see mango, we have to be thinking about mango fruit at the simplest level. When we see tomato, we have to be thinking of tomato sauce. When we move on to manufacturing, for example, we are working with farmers who are producing, for example, cassava. We should be seeing through cassava things like sanitizers. We should be seeing things like food, livestock, stock feed for our animals, for our livestock. So at each stage of our process, begin to think of adding value. When we talk about mining, it pains me like it pains every other Zambian that we're exporting soil, sand to Europe, the Middle East, even if we process it a little bit to cathodes, but we are largely exporting raw material or semi-finished copper. I think that no one should really be exporting that which God has given us in its raw form. God has endowed Zambia with mineral resources, and I think that as a people, 18, 20 million Zambians, with so many universities, with so much research and development, why should we be failing to have companies in our country to add value, either in agriculture, in mining, in manufacturing, right through? That can be done. And I think that what we need to do is continue to dialogue, and second to that, change the regulatory environment.
The EU summit that's coming towards the end of the week, what do you think should dominate the conversation there between the EU and our country?
Again, these platforms are welcome. We are grateful to the government and the engagement with our cooperating partners, and one of them being the EU. The EU is largely a European-based union, and now coming in to work with Zambia. The first thing is for us is to enhance, deepen our reach on investment and trade. We want to grow our economy. We want to grow the manufacturing sector, among other sectors in the country, to have industries built here in Zambia, and then excess capacity to begin to look for new markets. The European market is one of the ready markets for our country. The USA market is another market. The Asian market is another area to look at. So for us, I think it's look for new markets, expand the existing markets, but also open our doors further for investment and trade, and where some of these investors based in Europe can come in and partner with our Zambian entrepreneurs through local equity.
I'm sure we'll be doing a lot of follow-ups. Thank you so much for appearing once again on Strictly Business.
No, thanks so very much, Judy, for having me, and God bless.
Thank you so much. All right, so Ezekiel Sekele there, he is from the private sector when it comes to issues of manufacturing. Ecosystems are one of those very important systems and services that will help actually support digital transformation. Let's get more details from Infratel.
Digital transformation, perhaps we could begin there, is a buzzword, and I think you can hear it in almost every sphere. But maybe to just speak to one aspect of digital transformation, I think it has to be appreciated from the perspective of it being a step change in how businesses and organizations, be they from private or public sector, how they deliver their service to their end user. And from that angle, you will see that digital transformation requires a holistic change, orientation in terms of how businesses operate. Digital transformation is here to stay. As you note in global markets, for players that were hesitant to take up this journey, I think they've been driven out of the market. If you recall, not so long ago, there was a time when cameras were a thing, but now with the emergence of devices such as smartphones, we know that those businesses that did not catch on were driven out of the market. So from the perspective of how Infratel is assisting businesses in their digital transformation journey, we do appreciate the role that we play in terms of assisting businesses in optimization of service delivery, because this is one of the benefits of digital transformation, as well as increased innovation and agility, because innovation thrives when you have the infrastructure that is able to support that innovation. From the perspective of agility, investment in infrastructure that can back digital transformation is quite an expensive venture. But with businesses such as Infratel, what we offer our customers is this speed to market. And they can ride on our already heavily invested infrastructure, which is state of the art. Let me just take this opportunity to talk about our infrastructure. So we do run two lines of business. The first one is the data centers. We have state of the art 3 data centers that are geographically redundant. So we've got 2 here in Lusaka. I think the distance between them is approximately 15 kilometers. And we've got the third one that's on the Copper Belt, approximately about 400 kilometers from here. We also own over 1,250 telecommunication towers. And Judy, I'm happy to inform you here that our spread in terms of the towers is the widest, which means that businesses, in terms of the radio stations, the MNOs, can benefit from reaching a wider pool or a wider coverage in terms of their network planning. From the perspective of the data centers, our data center facilities actually were able to provide a host of different services. The net benefit to our customers is that they can reduce on their capex. As I indicated earlier, investment in this infrastructure is quite very huge and demanding. We do have testimonies of some of our clients that have saved upwards of $5 million because of taking up service from Infratel. So this means that you don't have to invest upfront in this infrastructure, but you can rely on this investment that we have put in for you to ride on our services. From the perspective of the likes of the MNOs, in the event that we have a 4th, 5th mobile operator, we will, with our infrastructure, what we are offering is a speedier rollout, which means they do not have to erect their own towers. They can ride off the towers that we already have. For their core network, they can also ride off the data centers that we have. So from that perspective, this is a reduction in capex, it's a reduction in operation expenditure, it's a reduction in the speed to market, but more so they can benefit from the perspective of peace of mind, knowing that these facilities that we're talking about have been running northwards of 5 years without any downtime. Infratel is a tried and tested house. So our data centers have been running for more than 5 years now, and in this time we've not had any cybersecurity breaches, any physical security breaches, or even any downtime. What this means is that our customers can enjoy up to, what we do promise our customers is 99.982 availability in our data centers. From the perspective of the towers, we're investing heavily to ensure that we're able to support the commitment of the MNOs to their customers for radio access network availability. But on our side, our commitment is to provide up to 98.75 power availability on our towers. So all these numbers might sound technical, but what this means is that with customers that are riding on our infrastructure, they can have the confidence that this infrastructure will be able to give them what they need to be able to meet their customer demand. Imagine how frustrating it is to sit in a queue in a bank because there's downtime and the system is not available, or if you have to access service, as the case was in the past, you have to queue up in Ratsa for you to get your road tax and so on. Now we know that our customers, end users, have time poverty. Nobody has that time to stand in queues and so on and so forth. With a partner like ours, our clients, our customers, the businesses have the confidence that they have infrastructure that they can rely on, and this benefit then ensures that the end user will enjoy convenience, and end user will enjoy exceptional uptime in accessing their services.
Cooperatives is on the lips of almost every person who wants to get moving in regards to entrepreneurship. More importantly, to get that grant or get those monies to make sure that they get their service, they get their businesses into, the wheel spinning and getting there. But in our business fact or myth, is it a myth or is it a fact that the chairperson of this cooperative is the only beneficiary?
Judy, so concerning the question, if it's the chairpersons who benefits from the cooperative model, that one is an absolute myth, because the cooperative model is actually a business model that is meant to raise share capital through the shares that every member has contributed. So it's like a group of people coming together and they put monies together concerning the business plan that is at hand. So everyone who has put in the money is going to benefit through the profit sharing, which is called dividends. So through these dividends, you can see that everyone is getting the benefits in line with how much they had actually contributed. The chairperson is just part of the board of directors. The chairperson is actually the head of that cooperative in terms of leadership, and the role there is to ensure that the goals and the objectives and also the vision of the cooperative comes to fruition. If we have 10,000 civil servants, if we have let's say 10,000 teachers, and they each put in 100 kwacha in 1 month, we would have raised a 1 million kwacha. This 1 million kwacha would put up a facility center, let's say for chicken production. This will enable us to produce a number of chicken. Imagine if you're getting 1 million in 12 months, it would be 12 million. So the production would have increased, but yet everyone would have just put in 100 kwacha. And when we put up a facility center, what have we done? We have created jobs in that community. We are going to employ a farm manager. We are going to bring in an accounting firm. We are going to bring in a PR. We are going to bring in people to deal direct with the chickens. That is employment creation. That is helping the government, and that is also helping our nation to go up. So, Judy, I maintain that it's not the chairperson that benefits from the cooperative model. It's every member that has contributed their shares. It is in that community that where the youths are going to be employed for the facility center, which has been formed. It is that nation which is tapping into this model to bring about economic change, so as to tap into the grassroots population to enact local economic development and root national economic development.
That myth is busted then. We now know that the cooperatives has got those facts. And that piece actually wraps up Strictly Business for today. The business of the day is definitely done. On behalf of the entire production crew, my name is Judyngulube. Join us next week again at the same time.